It's undocumented feature, Cesario.
Ah, it's an if statement. All right, so let's get going. So I'm very happy to see so many folks already joined. And I have to say this is a special occasion because I think it's the first time that we are organizing this recap day together. So let's see how this goes. Let me try to share my screen with you to have an idea about what we're going to do today. I just want to check that you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen? And is it the right thing you see, or is it the presenter view?
As a presenter view, we see just two halves of your screen.
Okay, so this is better then.
Excellent. Yeah, much better.
All right, thanks. So the idea is to do this in 2 hours, and this is Amsterdam time. So some people may have other time slots here. So the idea is to give a short talk with Ilya together on Spreadsheet Agile adoption. And then we're going to have a workshop exploring some pros and cons of Agile adoption and what kind of metrics, for example, we can use to promote a very good adoption. And as we don't know how long this will take, we don't know if we can do the open space at the end. So we think we will not have time for the open space, but we will see how that turns out. So let's just get started. And before we start, I just want to share that we will be working in breakout rooms in Mural, and you will be put into a breakout room in a second. And I encourage you to get to know each other for the first couple of minutes, and then do the kickoff exercise, which we have coming up. And if I am correctly, Sergey will do the breakout room for us. Yes. Is that correct, Sergey?
Yes.
Excellent. So we'll be put into breakout rooms, and we'll do a quick exercise to get started with the topic. The question is that in your group, so after you introduce yourselves real quickly, can you create a list, just any metric that you can remember, or that maybe you're currently using it, any metric that you used or are still using to measure progress of your adoption, to measure that you're becoming more agile, to measure that you're moving in the right direction. Just like a brainstorm, just write a measure per sticky note in your breakout room, and place them in Mural on the left side of the first canvas. So if you join me in Mural, I will point it out just to be sure we are understanding each other. So if you join Mural, you should be able to see the canvas of group 1 now. And so the first exercise is about, well, just in the metrics you have used in your group, just make a list of all the metrics you can remember that you used, and then have a short discussion about it after, of course, you introduce yourselves. And then once we have this list, we will start our little talk, and then we'll continue the workshop.
So do I understand it correctly? Each breakout room uses the canvas with the same number. So we've got, right?
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. So if you're, when you're in your breakout room, in the title bar, it says group 1, group 2, group 3, whatever. And that corresponds to the group numbering also in Mural.
Mhm.
Thank you for asking me.
Okay. And what amount of time we spent on the first exercise?
Yeah, so let's take 12 minutes for this. So we have 2 minutes to introduce each other, or 2 or 3 minutes, and then the rest we can try to generate metrics.
Okay. So we will work in groups, in small groups from 2 to 4 people in each. So
Excellent.
I'm ready. If you are ready, I can click the button.
I'm ready when you are.
Let's go.
Let's go. Cool. I saw lots of sticky notes on Mural. So let's move on to the next part, which is a short talk by me and Ilya. Then we can move on to the next exercise after that. So I just want to share you the story which I experienced a couple of years ago. I was invited by some big organization in the Netherlands, in this case, by the head of the Agile coaches. And this person had more than 100 Agile coaches working for her. And they had been working with Agile for a couple of years. And they came up with this process, this way of working, which was kind of successful in their context, in their office. And this lady invited me to talk to her, and she said to me, well, you know, what I want you to do, Cesario, is I want you to go to our other branches in other countries, in Italy and in Switzerland and in Germany and in wherever we are. And I want you to roll out this new process that we have, because it's very cool and very good. So I want you to go there and work with the people there and then implement this way of working. And I was kind of surprised that she was asking me that, because this was very, very alien to me, very strange from a leader of the Agile coaches. So I asked her, so what if these countries have different problems than you had? Then maybe your solution doesn't work. And what if their context and their culture and the way they do things there are different from yours? Maybe that doesn't work then for them. What if their customers have different issues and expect different services or so? Then maybe what you came up with here doesn't work. And she said, no, we thought about this really well, and we are not going to open up this discussion again. This is the best way of working, and they should just implement this and use this process, because this is the best process. And I was shocked with this for a couple of reasons. And the first reason, of course, is that it probably does not work in their organization, as each organization is unique. And the second one is, so how can you call this even anything close to Agile, right? How can you even think that this will be useful for the people in the group? And this story is this approach, which I call a spreadsheet Agile adoption. I've seen a couple of times before, and what usually happens is that they do this enterprise kind of rollout, and then they have these big sprint reviews and this big sprint plannings and this big process descriptions that the smart people came up with, and they put it into spreadsheets, and then they say, okay, this is how you need to work, and we will see and we will check the maturity. We will check how good you are performing against these spreadsheets, and then we will just combine it and put some metrics on it, and then can say, well, this team or this product group, you have these scores and these scores, and this group is better than that one. And if you are very good in spreadsheets, then you can even make these kinds of things. And then you measure progress or adoption against these kinds of metrics. And typically it starts with these managers or these agile coaches creating this best process. And then they say, well, this is the best process, we know for sure. And now the teams just need to execute on that process because this is the best process. And then we can add all these spreadsheets and metrics to the teams, and we measure how each of the teams perform individually. And in this giant spreadsheet, the management then can measure the progress across the whole adoption, and then use these metrics to judge, meaning we can determine if you are good or bad based on compliance to these spreadsheets. Now, that this is not agile is, wow, it's interesting, but it's not really shocking, maybe. So what? It's not agile, but maybe it works, right? So what is the real problem here? Agile is not the goal, so even if this is not agile, so what? No, not very interesting, maybe. Well, a big problem with this approach is that if you use this approach, if you say, for example, this is the best way to do it, then your focus will be on the spreadsheet, for example, and your focus will be on checking and seeing if people comply to this spreadsheet, which is, of course, not the goal that you want to focus on, which must be some kind of business goal that you want to achieve. Furthermore, it assumes that this is the best way to do it, and that signals, and this is the key point here, to the workers, to the teams, to the product owners, that, hey, this is the best way, so maybe there is no better way to do this, so there's no need to think, for you in this case, about improving this process. There is no, we really do not expect you to improve and think and learn about the process and improve that, and learn about how to actually build better services or better products. Because we, the smart folks, the agile coaches, we take care of that, you see. So we take that away from the teams. And this is the key problem with such a spreadsheet agile adoption, that the organization or the group will not feel ownership of their process, and therefore they will not improve it also. And very likely the process that somebody else gives to the group is not very useful, is not going to work, because the people who do the work know best how to do the work, and not somebody else who doesn't actually perform the actual work. So this spreadsheet agile adoption does not create the possibility for the group to learn how to be agile, how to be successful. And in that learning, the journey from unlearning the things you are doing right now that do not really work, and then replacing those learnings with new things that actually do work, that process, that is where the value is. That is where you create your own process that people can support. And this is not really happening if you do that. And even at Starbucks, I was surprised when I saw this. Even at Starbucks, they don't use Spreadsheet Agile adoption. You see, you might say, okay, every Starbucks is the same, but no. When I read this, I was shocked. Even Starbucks does not have that. They have the goal, of course, to serve you this excellent beverage, this excellent coffee. But each process that a coffee corner uses is created by the people themselves, depending on how many people are in the office, are in the shop, how many customers they have per hour, how big the room is, and all kinds of details that they use for that. So even at Starbucks, they encourage the people to learn what works best for them, and then build their process. And Ilya wants to say something also about this. I'm going to give the word to Ilya now.
Oh yeah, I will share the screen myself. So yeah, just a few words I want to say about. So you are sharing the screen. I will just stop it, okay, for now, and I will share my screen. Yeah. So quite often I'm yeah. Do you see my screen, right? And the slides. Save, less, Scrum at scale. So quite often I'm talking to senior management people. They invite me to the buildings and they discuss the problem. They think that they have a selective framework problem. And they ask me, so should we use SAFe or Scrum at scale or LeSS or Nexus? And they place question like, what's the best framework? And I think this is not the best question to ask. And when you as an Agile coach or a Scrum Master start answering this question, we're in a very bad position. So instead I say that I don't care about the frameworks. And I said that you don't have the selecting framework problem. Instead you've got a learning problem. So you should try to become a learning organization instead of copying organization. And nevertheless, I'm a LeSS trainer. I'm absolutely okay. And I say, okay, you can just make a few pilots and you can in parallel start Scrum at scale, LeSS, Nexus, whatever. So I care more about the principles and values standing behind those frameworks. Also, those frameworks, they've got different optimizing goals. For example, if we talk about LeSS, the optimizing goals are delivering highest value and adaptiveness on organizational level, right? As well as speed and learning. So I don't care really. So that's it. Summarizing, we don't have a selecting framework problem rather than learning problem. So Cesario, now you are saying something. Yeah, you turned off the microphone.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again then. Is that okay, Ilya?
Sure.
Cool. So as Ilya said, this is a key thing. We want the groups or the countries or the teams, depending on what level you work, to learn for themselves what works for them, because that's where the value is, and that's how you can change culture or the way we do things here, is by unlearning the old stuff and then learning the new things. So Spreadsheet Agile adoption is not supporting that at all. There's no ownership creating. We don't expect the people to build their own process, which is why we have Scrum in the first place. Scrum is a framework, as you know, to build your process, not to build your product. But with Spreadsheet Agile adoption, well, we throw all of that out the window. But if you don't do Spreadsheet Agile adoption, then what else can you do, right? What else can you do? How can you know that you are making progress, for example? How can you set up a measure or a metric that helps you learn right? How do you know what it is that you want to learn in the first place? These are all then important questions that you should take into consideration when you are adopting and when you are creating a cockpit. Let's use that word, a cockpit with measures, so you know that you are learning and you know that you're making progress. So how can we do that? So let me invite you then to do a second exercise based on what was discussed just now by me and by Ilya. And that is, you have created the first list of all these metrics that you used one day. Now, what I would like you to do in your group is have a discussion about these metrics and maybe select a couple or as much as you can find that actually are metrics that measure adoption progress. So we're getting better in whatever it is we want to get better at, but they avoid spreadsheet adoption problems. Like, they do not take away ownership of the teams. That's an important one. And these are metrics that the teams can actually use to learn and to improve, or the group or the organization, depending on the level that you have. So have a look at the metrics you generated in the first list and select those that you say, well, these metrics are actually indicating adoption progress and they avoid spreadsheet agile adoption. If that's okay with you.
So you're sharing yourself, Cesario.
I know. So I'm just asking if there's any questions. We can do it. Otherwise, I will ask Sergey to put us back into the rooms, into the breakout rooms. So are there any doubts about this exercise? Any questions? If not, then Sergey, can you be so kind to put us back into the breakout rooms for 10 minutes? All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm seeing in Mural that you have, all of us had come up with some metrics that are supportive and avoid spreadsheet agile adoption, which is pretty cool. Are there any comments or any questions from any of you that you want to join, that you want to ask before we continue?
Yes, I would like to say something.
Yes, please.
My name is Lineke and I'm working at Unive as Agile coach. And I don't have experience with adoption, but I'm very interested. And what you see is when you have the column to avoid the spreadsheet metrics, in the discussion, what myself really helped was the colleague in my group. They said, which metrics do not take the ownership of the teams away. So it helped me when they explained which metrics create learning. So that were powerful sentences for me to look around, because sometimes the metric like a maturity radar, I have positive experience with that. Mm-hmm. Because it depends on who fills the radar and who defines the criteria. So sometimes a metric can be used in a bad way or in a good way. Absolutely, yes.
So thanks for sharing that. And I think the mentioning of learning and the ownership, those are key issues. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We had one problem we came up with, we difficult on the measure is sometimes you're focusing on building, let's say, or creating a good product or creating a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some, hey, this is a good measure maybe for creating a good product, but does not mean automatically you get a good team.
Absolutely, yes. Thanks for sharing that, Pascal. So there are different levels that measures can apply. And the important point also that you mentioned is, so what is the purpose actually? So what is it that you want to achieve, right? Is it, as you say, improvement of the team, or is it improvement of the product? And very likely these would need different kinds of measures. But in general, these measures, we want them, as Lineke mentioned, we want them to do not remove the ownership. You see, yeah. So thank you so much, Pascal. Anybody else want to share a thought before we continue? I guess that is a no. So we were just discussing if we should have a break, what do you guys think? Should we have a break? I see lots of thumbs up. All right, so then we do it according to plan, and that is we'll have a coffee break, and then we will start again in 10 minutes, which would be 4:09 Amsterdam time, and the other people, I don't know, depends on where they are in the world. So in 10 minutes we'll continue with a little bit of talk, and then a third exercise.
Starbucks coffee, you mentioned?
Starbucks coffee is an excellent idea. All right, see you guys in 9 minutes now. Okay. So I think everybody is back, or at least should be back. So I propose we continue. I cannot see it if everybody's back, so let's hope so. So we're going to share my screen again. Let's see if I can do that. Yes, I can. Here we go. So we have this list of metrics we think are useful that avoid spreadsheet adoption problems, and that can help us measure progress during our adoption. So I want to share some ideas about measures, and then do a kind of closing exercise. And then if there's time left, we can do Q&A, etc. But let's see how far we can get. So if everything is okay, you can now see my screen again. So step 2, the step you already did. So let's talk a little bit about metrics that we can use for this kind of adoption. So a key point, as Ilya also mentioned, is, are we having metrics that enable us to learn? That's key here. Unlearn the things that we were doing before and learn new ways of building product, talking to users, writing code, communicate with each other in a team, whatever it is that you're trying to learn, trying to adopt. You want measures that enable you to learn and improve. So if you have a measure that is not useful for that, then it's maybe it could be a management metric. Well, but is it a measure in the sense of, is it useful? to develop? Is it useful to learn, to adopt? No, not very useful if you cannot learn from it. And another key point is also, we want these metrics not to be created by other people, but we want these metrics to be created by the people who want to learn something, which is the product group, or a single team if you do single team Scrum, or the organization if it is at the organizational level, or cross product groups that you want to learn something. So the people who actually must learn something, we want those people to feel ownership for that, and therefore we want them to also create their own metrics, right? And not, especially not an Agile coach. Those are the last ones we want to create metrics, okay? So they can facilitate and support and so on, teach, etc. But we don't want them to put those metrics in a spreadsheet, because then it's their metrics and not the team's metrics, etc. So we want metrics that enable us to develop ourselves, to learn, and we want them to be created by the people who want to learn something. As a counterpart, this is then what we want to avoid, of course, and especially the bottom one. The bottom one is interesting, which in spreadsheet Agile adoption is 99% of the time it's there, even if it's not intended. It just follows. If you assess the maturity of a group or of a team, and you say, well, out of these 10 things, you only do 8, you're already saying some kind of judge. You're already being a judge. And if you're a judge, then you cannot be a coach, and you cannot be a partner, right? In order to be a partner, in order to collaborate on improving, you cannot be the judge. Those things just don't fit together, as we already know from a long time ago. That this is not a good. This cannot work together. So we want to avoid this. So what kind of metric then do you like to have? So there's a couple of things you can use to test and to guide yourself or your teams to come up with a metric that could be useful for you. And that is, so does it drive learning? So can we use this metric, these measures, to make decisions about how to improve, how to learn, to be better? So it must drive learning, and it must be specific enough that you can decide to do something in a different way. So you must be able to take action upon it. So for example, if you say, well, team, your metric, our measure is to make less mistakes. Let's measure that, less mistakes. So does that drive learning, less mistakes? Well, not really. So let's say we are making less mistakes. What would be then a observable behavior that I could see if I see a team making less mistakes? What are they doing less or more or different, right? Those are those specific observable actions. That's what we are looking for. So a measure, make less mistakes, is too abstract. It's not very useful because you cannot take action upon it. And I don't know what you are learning actually from that, right? So if you make a mistake, so what was the action? What was the behavior that we did that is driving these mistakes? That's what you want to be looking for, so that it drives the thing you want to improve. and you can take action. So, and where does these metrics then come from? Well, this depends, as Pascal mentioned already. What is the purpose that you are trying to serve? What is it that you want to achieve? Are you trying to achieve customer happiness, or are you trying to develop to solve problems, the right problems for the customers? Are you trying to improve team dynamics? Well, that's kind of the purpose that you want to reach. So this metric that you chose, can you take action? Does it drive learning? But also, is it helping you learn to achieve the purpose that you want to achieve? So that's a very, very, very key decision here also. And we explicitly mentioned it's about the purpose of the system. And that means that we want to avoid measures that measure performance of an individual in the team, or a single team in a less group. So we want to avoid measures that promote optimizing the parts of a system, be it a team, be it a single person, being a single function. We don't want those. We want to say, okay, all these things together, all these parts together, they form some kind of system together, some kind of purpose that's useful for an end user, for a customer, for a company. So we want the purpose to be at the system level. And if you have that, it drives learning. It's about the purpose of the system. You can take action upon it. Then the last thing is, well, this measure that we have, we can observe it, but can we also test it? Can we also say, hey, we can actually objectively say we are doing this, or we are not doing this, or we are doing this better, or we're doing this worse? Is it testable? Can we observe it? Can we actually see if our hypothesis actually is true or false? So we think these four characteristics are essential to have a good metric for learning how to be agile in your context. And I want to invite you to the next exercise, and that is, can we use a couple of these metrics that you chose in your second column, in your second exercise, and then as a group pick the first one, the first metric, and then see if you can, if you go to Mural, see if you can, for each of the metric, answer the questions on the canvas which is next to that. So let me just summon you. If you go to Mural, you can see a canvas here with 4 questions, like how is it testable? How does it support the purpose? How can you take action with it? And how does it drive learning? Each group has such a canvas. So the question is, please take the first metric you wanna discuss in your group, and then try to find answers by populating each of the blocks of the canvas. And then if you have answered all the 4 questions of one metric, you can try another one. You can use different colors, for example, for the second one. And I encourage you, but you have to figure out if that's whatever is best for you, that if the conversation doesn't start really well, you could just take 1 minute individually, write some sticky notes on Mural, and then after everybody has posted a sticky note, you can then start the discussion. If you have a good discussion already in your group, then you probably don't need that. So I would like to ask Sergey again to kick us off to the breakout rooms, and let's see if you can fine tune 1 or 2 of your of your metrics using this canvas.
Okay, and what is our time box for this exercise?
So I think we would need 12 minutes for this.
Okay, so I'm ready. Here is your.
Oh, there's one more thing. If I can interrupt you, Sergey, one more second. I posted a link in your Zoom chat, and if I put the right link there, it's a link to the sheet. If you find something else, like private stuff of me, please tell me. Then it's the wrong link.
It's the right link.
It's the right link. All right. So Sergey, please continue.
Okay, 12 minutes, let's go.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I was checking the mural. It looks like that, or I didn't explain it very well, or it was kind of difficult, or both. Anybody want to share a comment about this last exercise? What were you struggling with, or what were some puzzles, or any insight you got?
Yeah, I think that we would benefit from concrete examples on the mural. For example, this metric, and to make it actionable, we improve it in this way, and so on, so on. So that would help.
An example, okay. So I joined your group briefly also, and you were discussing happiness metric, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and what specific issue did you have with that? Can you help us a little bit understand?
Yeah, for example, we're not sure how to improve it, to make sure it drives learning, and so
Okay.
Can you give an example, for example?
So you are group 2, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we can try. So if we join a group 2 in Mural, wow. So I see here less group happiness, right? That was your purpose, I think, right? Or what was it?
Mm-hmm. No, it was originally, it was team happiness. Then we decided to make it more whole.
Okay.
So, to measure less group happiness.
Less group happiness. So let's say then that this is a thing we believe is very good for us as a group. So that would be the purpose. Let's just say that is true. Then, in order for it to be testable, we need to find something that we can actually then observe. So if we see the group being happy, assuming that is the purpose, what is it that we see? So how can we see that we are happy? That would be the question. I don't know. I see here a number of smiles. People actually show up at the Scrum event. Well, that's a good one. There was another one while I was at your group. It said, well, we are expressing, it was something like expressing our needs or desires in the group, right? So for it to be testable, we need to find things that we can actually observe. So as a group, we have to agree upon how can we see in behavior that we are becoming more happy. These are just some examples of that. Now the next one would be, okay, so how can we then take action? So can we take action with this metric? If this is a good metric, and we see that people are not visiting Scrum events, they are not expressing their needs, there are no smiles, can we do something useful as a LeSS group, right? So not an external party. can we do something with this? I think we can. These are very concrete. With the smiles, I don't know really what we can do. But visiting Scrum events and expressing our needs, we can just count them. We can just graph them. We can record them and then get back to them, for example, in retro. Or as a Scrum Master, you can, while you observe this in the sprint, you can make note of this. You can make people aware of this. You can make people realize their current behavior, like they are not expressing their needs right now, or are they expressing their needs, etc. So I think this is very actionable, these metrics. So can you take action? Yes, the action could be in a retro. We can discuss the data we gathered. We can coach on or coach, or let's call it coach, during the sprint. And it's very easy as these are all behaviors we can easily observe. Now, we can look at the trend line even. That's another one that you can use. That's a behavior over time kind of thing, over sprints, very cool. So how does that drive learning? So let's say that we want to be happy. We are using these measures, smiles, etc. And we are taking these kinds of actions. So that, does this actually drive learning? This means, are we as a group now learning to be more happy? That's the question. And if so, how can we be more happy if we measure this and take these kinds of actions? And I think, again, this could very well drive learning, as we can observe that maybe we are not doing the things that make us happy. We can then analyze what was happening. Why are we not doing these things that we agreed upon? How come this we are not expressing ourselves? And then learn from that. Analyze why that is happening, and then try something new based on that analysis. So this very much drives our learning also. Does that help a little bit, group 2?
Yeah, for me, yeah, it's more clear right now.
I can follow you, but I still have problems between the difference between can you take action with it, and then how does it drive learning? Why did you separate those two things? Maybe another example can explain it, because why these two views on this subject?
What we're looking for is, let's say we are looking for a measure that does not drive learning. Let me see what other folks have. Then I can use that maybe. I don't think so. Okay. Does anybody, does another group have a similar question? Difference between how can you take action about it, with it, and how does it drive learning? That's a no, I think. Okay. So, in order to learn, we need to understand, one way to learn at least is to understand what we're not doing perfect yet. And in Lean, what we try to do is we try to say, what would perfect look like? So what would be perfect happiness? Let's go back to your question. What would be perfect happiness? What would be a perfect happy sprint? And then if that doesn't happen, then we want to say, okay, what are the deviations? Where does it differ from our perfect happy sprint? So for that, you need to have these tests, which is how is this testable? These observable behaviors. For this to happen is, if we analyze it, we have to understand, okay, what kind of actions then can we do to understand this, why we didn't express our need, why we didn't smile. And if we have both of those, then that difference between perfect happiness in the sprint and the deviations that we've measured, right, give us these actions, and that drives the learning. That is how it drives learning.
Because you are different from the goal you have. If you want to have everybody happy, then
yeah. So let me rephrase it a little bit in a different way. So we want to have the most happy sprint. Okay, in the most happy sprint, if it's perfect, we are all smiling, we are visiting every event, and everybody's expressing our needs. That's perfect. Now we do it in the sprint, and we come to the conclusion during the sprint that we deviate. We are not perfect. We deviate. Sometimes people didn't smile. Sometimes people didn't express their need. Sometimes they didn't visit the Scrum event. These are deviations from your perfection that you want to achieve. Okay? So these deviations you analyze, and you do that. You look at the trend line, you coach during the sprint, you do a retro, for example, with data you gathered during the sprint. And from that analysis come new actions, right? And those are the actions that enable you to become better. So that's how it drives learning. Does that help, Linneke?
Maybe a conclusion to say the actions are the concrete actions, and what comes out of it are the improvements.
Yeah, so if the actions, of course, result in an improvement, yes.
Yeah.
But in order to learn, you must know where you want to be and what your deviation is from where you want to be. So you must make that concrete. And that's what we're trying to do. What is the purpose that we want to achieve? How can we measure that we are super happy? That is, how is it testable? Then, if we are deviating from it, how can we then analyze that and take action with that? That is the third canvas, the third block. How can you take action with it? Now, based on those actions and based on your observation, so the deviation between perfect happiness and what you actually can do, you can come up with new actions that will help you learn, hopefully, if you choose the right actions, but about to become more happy. Anybody else, another group wants to share their thoughts or their progress? I see that we have a couple of minutes left.
We had some thoughts. We were in the group 1, and actually we realized that we did this exercise with all the metrics that we have, but we did it like without writing anything, and we realized that like any metric has like two sides, like light side and dark side, so you can use it in a good way or in a bad way. For example, with this metric of happiness, I remember when managers start to call every person in the team to ask, why are you not happy? Something like that. So
okay.
really depends on how do you use this metrics, and it could be helpful or could be harmful. So, and maybe it's also depend on if you will use this metric like a local optimization, like only measure the team, it's not enough. It's better to look wide and to use a systemic approach to understand what is going on and what metrics will help and what metrics are not helpful. So.
Yes, I totally agree. On the dark side and the bright side, and also on the purpose. This is a key question. How does it support the purpose? Absolutely. To avoid that kind of local optimization.
I've been using in a team currently a happiness index because people were not happy. So we'll just tell me what rate you give the last 2 weeks, and we do that now for 8 or 9 sprints. And the things that we do is this should result in being more happy. So we tend to, I think on average we've been climbing 1 point. So that's good. It's not perfect, but we're improving, so that's good.
Okay.
And the things that they are more happy now, that they learn more new stuff. So they were complaining that we need to do all the stuff that we don't want to do, and we want to learn new stuff that makes me more happy. Okay, so spending, let's say, what we literally do is every first day we have I call it show me the money. Is somebody from the team show something that he's working on without any preparation. It's a 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Just show it what you're working on. Explain it. The other one is we do every first day a 2-hour mobbing session, mob program, to learn new techniques. So these are ingredients for us to be more happy, because the problem was, so we just asked in every retro before we start, how was this last 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. What rate you give? And that's it. And you see now a trend.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. All right, so we have 6 minutes left, and I was trying to reach Ilya before, but I could not, unfortunately.
Cesaro, maybe a question then?
Yes, we have a couple of minutes still. I still want to do the closing exercise, which is to share some key takeaways. So let's do your question first then.
Great, thanks. So you mentioned that the majority of the metrics usually comes from that area where they want to compare. It's either individual performance metric or in order to compare the teams, right?
Yeah, you should try to avoid that.
Yeah. How do you go about that when you are faced with with those kind of metrics? You're asked to implement, or pretty much those metrics are present in the team. I guess you need to coach people, but maybe you have an example to share, or maybe some experience to summarize about that, because I've seen it also very common in my context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is so your question is, if you see this in your organization, how can you get rid of those metrics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
kind of a success story or something like that.
Yeah. So the approaches so there's a lot of context here. So you must be working with people with the people who can actually change those metrics. That's very useful if you have that. So that would be the product group leader, for example, or the product owner if you have a large product group. And then the tactic I try to use, and I use this, I try to make clear to the people, and they already know that. So if you have an activity metric, let's say velocity, or let's say a number of features done according to plan, right? Then I try to make clear to them. So how does that help you deliver on what it is you want to achieve? For example, happier customers, more revenue, etc., etc. And what you will often then discover, or they then will discover, that this metric actually doesn't help that at all. Higher velocity does not help at all achieve the purpose. An example, I was working with a bank over the last 2 years, and there was a big release on Friday or something, or on Sunday, I don't remember. But anyways, Monday when I got back, already in the car, I was called by an area product owner, and he said, well, there is this, we have been done this release and everything is problematic. The customers are calling, so internal customers of the bank also, and external users not so much, but mainly internal users of the system. And they find the system unusable, and they want to roll back to the previous version, and we did. And then we analyzed it, and we found that these teams, they developed a lot of features and according to these activity metrics, but most of the features they developed, most of the problems they solved, they were the wrong problem that they solved. And so the users were not recognizing or finding it anything more comfortable or more usable, the product. And I use this example to see to make transparent. Well, these are they performed on the activity metrics. They delivered they solved most of the problems, but they were solving the wrong problems. You see, so I use that kind of technique for them to realize that their current metrics are probably not useful. And these are all smart people. So once they get aware of that, they can then you can then help them take the next step and translate those useless metrics, which are usually output metrics or activity metrics, into more outcome metrics or impact metrics.
Mm-hmm.
This
so
is from a management perspective. This is not from a team perspective.
So you didn't interfere much. You just let them follow those metrics until they kind of hit the wall, right? You didn't prevent them in using the metrics.
Well, in this situation, this happened. So of course, then it's like a gift. You use it. Yeah. But the key point is, can you help them become aware about their current metrics and how these metrics are not helping them achieve their purpose? And in this example that I gave, I could use this release, which was a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right. All right. Then I would, because it's time's up. I would like to thank everybody, especially the people who helped run this. My co-host Ilya and Sergey, and everybody who joined also. And I would like to invite you to, for the last time, to Mural. And just, if you are in Mural now, I summoned you to the takeaway. Please write anything that comes to mind on a sticky note and post it there for you to see and for the other people to see. And then thank you, and I hope you have a nice evening and the rest of the afternoon for some. Ilya and Sergey, if you want to say something, please go ahead, of course.
No, I'm just in the middle of the exercise.
I just want to wish good evening for everybody.
Thank you. Good evening too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Raj.
Thanks very much. I was very glad to see you.
All right, thanks everybody.
Hello, yeah. Goodbye, everybody. See you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good nice rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
Cesario. Sorry, I had an interruption, so I couldn't participate in the last part. I see this video is recorded. How can I access it, or will it be accessible?
I'm not hosting, so I think Ilya also is hosting. I think, or Sergey is hosting. So I think it will be available. So if you registered using the normal channels, everybody will get an email with the links to the slides, etc. So I think there will be a link to the video also. So I'm not recording this.
Okay, no worries. I mean, I was just, the reason why I was interrupted today, because I'm doing Agile transformation with a company of 30 developers, 20 developers, which are implementing less, which are focusing on less, I would say, structuring, less way of structuring the teams. Have you discussed about? Did you have discussion today about steps how to do the transformation, like something similar what is actually on the LeSS web page, on the LeSS page, Agile adoption? Was a discussion today about it?
No, this was not about that. This discussion. This was one of the so in the adoption, there are many steps and many things you can consider. You must consider, and one of them, a small one, is how do you measure progress, and that's a small topic we discussed about in this community. So there's much more than just this, like education, product definition, team liftoffs, architecture workshops, studying the dependencies with your heat maps, and so on. This was just one small item, which is measure. So how do you, if you wanna, if you need to have some metrics to talk to show to the people who pay you, to close the feedback loop on learning, to give some ideas about progress, which gives energy to the people. So this was about what are some fundamental things to think about if you want to set up your cockpit. This session was about that.
Cool. Okay, it sounds interesting for me, actually, because I know that measures should be driven by the teams, not by me, like an Agile coach, or by the management. It should be driven by the teams, and actually it should be something what is what makes them to be driven. Yeah. Okay. Understood. Okay. I'll take a look.
Did you see the slides? I shared the URL with the slides.
Yeah, I have opened it. Yes. And I was going through it.
Maybe that helps a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So these recap days are more, it's not teaching. This is more about we try to bring people together and then have them discuss things from practice. That is what this is about.
And audience is mostly people who are doing the Agile adoption. Am I right?
Sorry?
The audience of these calls, it's mostly people who do Agile adoptions, who actually do the Agile transformations.
No, so the audience is our customers and people who came to one of our courses. So we then invite them. Normally we invite them face to face, but because of Corona, we are not doing this online. But normally we do it just after the class. We do 3 days of class, and then in one of the evenings, we invite the people from previous classes and so on, and they can come.
And classes are
May I interrupt?
about less.
May I interrupt, please?
Yes, you may.
I would like to thank you because it was for me the first time, and because it's online, I could join, and I really liked it. Thank you for the insights, and maybe see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
For joining. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hey, Pozdrav, Vladimir. Okay. Okay, thank you for answering my questions, because I'm sorry, actually I didn't have a chance to be an active participant here today, but I'll take a look on video. Yes, and, actually,
where are you based?
I'm in Croatia. I'm
Okay.
based in Croatia, and I'm working like external the Agile coach / Scrum Master. I have done three Agile transformation in the last 5 years as I'm working like external. I'm working mostly alone, or actually working with some colleagues which I know. For example, I'm working with, I don't know if you know Ozren Crnogorac. He's also in Croatia. He's also he's very active in the LeSS community.
Maybe so I know him. Yeah.
He told me about this event. He told me, hey, you should participate in this event, and maybe.
Oh, okay.
And in the last few years, I tried to be active in the Scrum org, and before I was more active in the Scrum Alliance, being part, but in the last few years, I'm actually somehow switching to Scrum org and less framework, because I saw a lot of benefits. Like, for example, in the last company where I was working with the one Swiss corporate, which built a company of 70 people in Croatia. We implemented feature teams, and actually it was good success. And all the concepts from the LeSS actually helped me a lot to make a good arguments how to base feature teams and so on. And that's maybe a short intro about me. I don't know if it sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean,
I like it that you are leaving Scrum Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. What's good in Scrum Alliance? It's about they're pushing experience. You know, it's the whole Scrum concept. This is what people often tell me from Scrum Alliance, that this whole Scrum concept is based on empiricism, and it's about experiencing stuff. And Scrum Alliance actually, it's a whole their concept is actually try it, and it's about their trainings and everything. Even they are very expensive, they're based on experience. Scrum org, it's more based on understandings. It's a different kind of mindset, and very often to have a good understandings, you need to see it, you need to try it, you need to experience it. And a lot of my colleagues which are on Scrum org, I tell them often, hey, it's very hard to sell some Scrum to somebody who never see this in the real life. How does it work on the good way? Yes. I don't know if this is your opinion or not.
Yes, selling is very difficult. That's for salespeople.
Okay,
I don't know how to sell stuff. No, I'm not very good at that. Yeah.
Good point. Actually, I don't want to sell anything. Yes, I don't want to. Good point. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to be salesman. Yeah, I don't want to be. It's about awareness. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Good remark. And I would like to now be more part of the LeSS community, and following maybe your events, I will try to be.
Yeah, maybe you can add, are you already on the LeSS mailing list?
No, and Ozren told me that you should get there.
Yes,
Is
you
it
can.
possible?
Yes, you can. You must mail. You must mail. I think. Let me just find the email and I'll paste it in the chat box, and then you can. Oh yes, there it was. Yeah, it's so. I think if you mail Bas and say, well, I want to be a candidate trainer one day, can I join the mail list? Maybe he will at least say yes, or he will say, well, these are some things you must do first. I don't know exactly, but you can mail him there.
Yeah, I was on his presentations many times. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
He can add you to the mailing list, and then we have some we regularly have discussions there and so on. It's a pretty good mailing list.
Yeah, and it wasn't told me about it. See, okay, good. About are you holding the LeSS trainings? Are you part of? Are you one of the trainers of the LeSS? And can I follow your training list and when it will happen in the future? Maybe also this. I mean, probably in this company where I have started the Agile transformation just a month ago, there will be at least 3 people who are interested in the LeSS trainings. So that's why I'm asking. And I'll be plus them 3. I'll be interested to actually be on the training, on the LeSS training. So what's the best way to follow your terms of next LeSS trainings? Just last question.
The best is face-to-face, of course. But that's not going to happen because of the coronavirus. So I also have these online things, and these are not as good by a long term actually as the face-to-face classes. And I have one next week actually, an online one. And these are boring, and they are so boring that I only do them for 4 hours per day. So they start at 9 and they end at around 12:31. But they take 5 days, so it's 5 days in a row every morning. So it's an online course. So we do a lot of mural and a lot of this stuff. But that's the only thing we can do at the moment. And there are many others that do that. Also, if you, I don't know, you probably know the LeSS.works website, right?
Of course.
Yes. So there you can find also more online courses.
I have all 3 books of all 3 books, and I'm actually these books with patterns. I try to use it quite often. You know, the first one.
Yeah.
And by the way, I need to make for this team of 20 people. I need to make also online workshop in the next month. So I'm actually
yeah. So
I'm preparing how to make it very interactive and actually how to make it not boring. And because usually I do it this live and with concepts of with whiteboard and with minimal PowerPoint, and now I have to do it also by mural and metrics and all this stuff. How to do it very to be.
Yes, it's harder.
and I already have some ideas how to make it, how to simulate, I would say, simulate controlled environment where actually people can learn about Scrum on a empirical way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, thanks. What does it mean, this PCLP? What's that?
Yeah, that's the online course. The online course is called Provisionals or Online Certified LeSS Practitioner.
Provisionite.
Yeah, it's provisional. It means if you do the online course, you will not be get the certification certified LeSS practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
First difference is it's not as good as the face-to-face, and second is you don't get the official certification. You can only get that if you do the in person or if you then follow. So the thing is, if you do a PCLP, let's say you do the PCLP with me, then you're also entitled to come to the face-to-face,
Mm-hmm.
and at no cost because you already paid for it. But after you came to the face-to-face one, then you will get your certification. Until then, you get the provisional certification. That's the difference.
Okay. Okay. I mean, the certificates, it's not so important. More important is actually the experience. But I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Cool.
Good. Thank you for your time. For my answers, my questions. Actually,
my pleasure.
Have a nice evening.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.